everyone! Welcome back, or welcome if you're new. Today's topic is prominent lower third, because literally nobody asked for it. No one. Let's talk about the different ways that more prominence can be brought to the lower third of your face and how different hairstyles can help in balancing out the added emphasis. Okay, so there are a few different factors that can bring more prominence to your lower face. It could be because you have a wide lower third, or because you have a long lower third, or you might have a unique shape to your chin or a chin that protrudes more forward, which would highlight the area more and bring the gaze downwards. Let's talk about the first case, which is a wide lower third. To be honest, a wide or a prominent jawline alone isn't necessarily enough to bring a ton of emphasis to your lower third. Unless the jawline is extremely wide and chiseled, a moderate level of definition in the jawline can display strength and confidence, and it's a feature that's considered quite desirable in both men and women, especially in the Western standards of beauty. But a wide jawline along with a long lower third in your horizontal proportions can definitely bring more prominence downwards. A good example of that is Pink. She doesn't necessarily have a very defined or chiseled jawline, but width-wise there's definitely some significance there because the width of her lower face is nearly as wide as the cheekbone area, and she also has a long lower third compared to her top and middle third, so her lower face can easily appear quite prominent and drag the emphasis downwards. And as you might have guessed already, an effective way to mitigate the emphasis brought to the lower face is with a short haircut. When the hair is completely removed from the lower facial outline, the contrast created by the hair is also removed. So the overall effect is that there's less prominence brought to the area. And now the contrast is only up here, so naturally our eyes are drawn upwards and away from the lower face. I had a hard time finding good photos of Pink with long hair other than some of these really goofy photos from her parodies. So instead I'm gonna use photos of Halsey to show you what I mean. Because Halsey has similar proportions and features as Pink in her lower face. Her lower third is not as long as Pink, but width-wise there's definitely some prominence there, and her chin is also quite rounded like Pink, so there's definitely some heaviness in the lower third area. Halsey's facial features are more on the delicate side than Pink, so I think she actually looks pretty good with long hair too. But if we're just looking at the level of prominence that's brought to her lower face, the shorter hair does a far better job at removing some of the heaviness and bringing the gaze upwards. So a short hairstyle like a pixie cut is a great way to lessen the prominence in the lower face and bringing the emphasis up. But with the long lower third, there's one more thing to remember, and that's to expose the forehead rather than covering it. When we're looking at the horizontal proportions, when the top third and the lower third are balanced, the overall face appears more balanced as well. So if you have a longer lower third and your forehead is covered, then the difference in the lengths between the middle and lower thirds become a lot more apparent, and it ends up highlighting the prominence in your lower face more. Between these two photos, the right photo where the forehead is completely exposed brings less emphasis to the lower face and makes the face appear more balanced overall. Now, this is a little bit dependent on how long your lower third is though. If we look at Halsey, her lower third is only slightly longer than her middle third, so even when she wears bangs, the emphasis brought downwards is not nearly as severe. But we can still see that the overall face appears more balanced when the forehead is exposed. This rule of thumb applies to really anyone with different lengths between the middle and the lower thirds. Liv Tyler, for example, has such a narrow face and very little prominence in her jawline, but lengthwise her lower face is longer compared to her middle third. And with blunt bangs that cover her forehead completely, this difference in length between her middle and lower thirds become a lot more obvious. So as a result, her chin appears longer with the bangs. If your chin area is long but you really want bangs, then a better option is to wear curtain bangs or side swept bangs so you can expose at least some parts of the forehead. These styles make the contrast between the hair and the skin a lot less stark, so the overall impact on the facial proportions is a lot more natural than blunt styles. If you've watched my videos before, you probably know that I love talking about exceptions. And for those of you that might be thinking, well, what if I don't want a pixie cut? Then the next examples I'm going to show you will give you hope. Let's go back to Liv Tyler. Like I said, she has a long lower third, so why is it that she looks better with longer hair? To be honest, when we're just looking at the facial proportions, a pixie cut is not a bad look on Liv. Proportionally, it makes her long face appear shorter overall, and it also brings less emphasis to her long lower third. But the reason why long hair past the shoulders is a better choice for Liv is because of her neck and shoulders. Like I said, Liv has such a narrow face. It's what makes her face really long, because when we're looking at the length of the face, we have to look at the width to length ratio. So when the width is narrow, it makes your face appear that much longer. Now, if we look at Liv's neck and shoulders, the distance from the chin to the collarbone is on the shorter side in comparison to the length of her face. And because she has such a narrow face, her shoulders in contrast appear quite wide as well. And I'm not saying that she's big or wide, but this is all in relation to the width of her face proportionally. So with Liv, the length of the neck and the width of the shoulders draw the emphasis horizontally, and having long hair past the shoulders creates a visual break in the shoulder line and acts as a way to draw the emphasis vertically instead, which has a slimming effect on the shoulders and neck, and it matches the delicate and feminine image of her facial features. I saw an article stating that the distance from your earlobe to the chin is an indicator of whether or not you can pull off a short hairstyle like a pixie cut, but as you've seen with previous examples, even with a longer lower third, you can wear a short hairstyle and it can totally look good on you. It's just that you also have to consider the proportions of your body in relation to your face as well, because different hair lengths can also have an impact on the proportions of your neck and shoulders. Choosing your outfits carefully can also be a way to overcome the shortcomings of your hairstyle. If you have wide shoulders and shorter hair, wearing darker colors or a deep V-neck can add more vertical length to your upper body and have a similar effect as long hair. Another thing I want to note is that your overall image or impression also has a huge role. Long hair that adds more femininity works for Liv because she has such delicate features. But if we go back to Pink for a second, the length of her neck is also on the shorter side. But Pink is known for that rebellious and non-conforming style. That's her whole brand, and it's what suits her personality and who she is as a person. So these are also things you have to think about when you're trying to find your signature style. In the end, your personal style is a mix of what works for your features and proportions, along with your preferences and what suits your overall image or your brand. So it's kind of a fine line of balancing all of these aspects. Now, going back to the length of your hair, if you have a prominent lower third but you want to keep your hair long, another trick is to use a hair color that's more similar to your skin tone. Like I said, the point of removing the hair away from your lower facial outline is to reduce the contrast level that's created by the hair against your skin. So naturally, using a hair color that's closer to your skin tone can reduce that contrast level. And depending on the depth of your skin tone, it could mean that you need to go lighter or darker. I do have a video that talks more about the effects of lighter and darker hair colors, so I'd suggest you watch it next if you haven't already. I'll see you in my next video, and until then, stay unique and stay gorgeous.